Captain Elias Kane leaned over the edge of the crater, scanning the wreckage with a careful eye. The pale green sky of Thaler 9 stretched endlessly above, dotted with two faint suns that barely lit the broken city below. The ruins were silent, except for the occasional gust of wind that whistled through shattered towers and collapsed bridges. "Looks like a battlefield," muttered Lieutenant Mara, his second in command, adjusting her helmet's visor. "Whatever happened here, it wasn't recent, but it wasn't too long ago either." Kane nodded without replying. He had seen enough destruction to know the signs. Broken ships, scorched metal, and alien glyphs etched into walls pointed to violence, something swift, brutal, and decisive. Yet the scene had a strange stillness, as if the planet itself were holding its breath. He stepped carefully over the rubble, scanning for anything alive. That's when he saw it. A faint movement near the edge of the main square caught his eye. At first he thought it was a trick of light, or perhaps debris shifting in the wind. But then he saw a form slumped against a broken column. A figure, an alien figure. Kane's heart skipped a beat. The alien was a woman, or at least humanoid in shape, with pale violet skin and delicate, elongated limbs. Her clothes were torn and blood stained the fabric around her chest and arms. She was breathing shallowly, her eyes fluttering open and closed. "Sir," Mara's voice was sharp. "You see that?" "I see her," Kane replied, his tone calm but urgent. "She's alive, we have to help her." The team approached cautiously. Kane could feel the tension in the air. Thaler 9 was uncharted and hostile. Every alien in this sector could be dangerous. But seeing someone in pain stirred something deep in him. It wasn't just duty, it was instinct. He knelt beside her, gently inspecting the wound. "Easy," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The alien stirred, her eyes opening fully now. They were large and luminous, glowing faintly in the dim light. She gasped, her voice weak but strangely musical. "Help me," she whispered. Kane moved quickly, tearing a strip from his own uniform to press against the wound. "You're going to be okay. I'll make sure of it," he said, hoping the words would steady her. Mara handed him a small medical kit, and together they worked to stabilize her. The alien flinched at the touch, but gradually relaxed as Kane cleaned the wound and applied a makeshift dressing. She kept watching him, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "What's your name?" Kane asked, glancing at Mara. "I am Lyra," she said faintly. "Lyra," Kane repeated, nodding. "You're safe for now." The alien's lips quivered. "They are coming," Kane frowned. "Who's coming?" Lyra's eyes darted around as if expecting attackers at any moment. "The hunters, her voice faded and she passed out again, exhausted. Kane tightened the dressing around her wound and rose. "Hunters," he muttered, exchanging a look with Mara. "We need to move her. This place isn't safe." They lifted Lyra carefully, supporting her weight as they navigated the ruined streets. Kane's mind raced. Who was she? Why was she on Thaler 9? And who were these hunters she mentioned? As they moved, Kane noticed subtle signs in the rubble, tracks that didn't match human boots, scorch marks from energy weapons, and symbols etched into walls. Whoever had attacked this place had power far beyond what the humans were used to. And yet, Kane felt no fear, only determination. They reached a small clearing near the edge of the city. Kane set Lyra down gently, scanning the horizon. "We can rest here for a bit," he said. "I need to figure out our next move." Lyra stirred again, murmuring something in her language. Kane leaned closer, trying to catch the words. "I map safe stars." "Map?" Mara asked. "She wants to show us something." Kane nodded slowly. "Maybe. We need to keep her alive long enough to find out." He sat beside her, keeping watch through the night. The cold wind bit at his skin, but he didn't mind. Every so often he checked her vitals, keeping the dressing secure and whispering reassurance. Humans were resilient, he knew that, and perhaps so was she. The first stars began to glow brighter in the twin suns' fading light. Kane thought about the galaxy beyond Thaler 9. He had seen wonders, yes, but also horrors. He had faced pirates, rogue AIs, and merciless alien factions, but something about this moment felt different. Saving her wasn't just survival, it was hope. By morning, Lyra opened her eyes again. Her gaze met Kane's, and this time she spoke with more strength. "You saved me," she said, her voice steady. "Most humans would not." Kane shook his head. "Humans do what they must. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. It's who we are." Lyra studied him closely, as if measuring the truth in his words. "Then you must help me," she said. "The galaxy is in danger. The hunters, they will not stop." Kane's jaw tightened. "Tell me everything you know," he said. "We'll figure it out." As Lyra struggled to sit up, Kane realized the gravity of their situation. Whatever she was, she carried knowledge that could change everything. And now humans were part of it. Suddenly, a sharp noise cut through the air, a low hum that grew louder, vibrating through the ground. Kane's eyes narrowed. "Mara, get ready. We're not alone." From the horizon, shadows moved, large and fast, advancing toward them. Kane stood protectively in front of Lyra, scanning for weapons, escape routes, anything. Mara readied her plasma rifle. "Sir, there are too many." "Then we make them regret it," Kane said quietly, a grim smile on his face. "Human style." Lyra's eyes widened. "Human?" "Yes," Kane said, determination hardening in his chest. "Humans don't give up, not ever." As the first of the hunters appeared on the ridge, Kane gritted his teeth. This was no ordinary fight, but he had one advantage. He was human, unpredictable, and fearless, and he would protect Lyra, no matter what it took. The battle was about to begin. The hunters emerged from the horizon like shadows swallowed by darkness. Their forms were strange and imposing, tall, armored, and moving with a mechanical precision that made Kane's instincts flare. Their weapons glowed faintly as they advanced, cutting through the pale green light of Thaler 9. "Hold your ground," Kane shouted to Mara. His hand hovered over his blaster, ready. He didn't wait for them to strike. Instead, he calculated, using the terrain to his advantage. Rocks, broken walls, and debris littered the field. If he could funnel the hunters into the narrow pathways between ruins, their numbers would mean little. Lyra struggled to her feet behind him, clutching her side. "I can help," she whispered. Her language was strange, but Kane had learned a few words since their first night together. He nodded. "Then help me guide them." The hunters advanced, and Kane moved quickly, dodging a pulse of energy that scorched the ground where he had stood a moment before. Mara fired carefully, hitting two of the attackers with precise shots. Kane's strategy worked. They were forced to spread out, giving him control of the battlefield. "Keep them separated," he barked. "Humans always fight smarter, not just harder." Lyra's eyes widened as she watched him. Even with superior strength and technology, the hunters faltered against his unpredictability. Kane darted from cover to cover, leading them into traps he had improvised. He kicked debris into their path, forced them into narrow corridors, and used the ruins to block their attacks. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the hunters paused. Some of their number lay still, others retreated, and the rest regrouped, clearly surprised by the humans' tactics. Kane leaned against a broken pillar, catching his breath. "Impressive," Lyra said softly. "I have never seen a human fight like this." Kane wiped sweat from his brow. "We survive, that's what humans do." They didn't have time to celebrate. Lyra handed Kane a small, glowing device. "Map," she said simply, "shows hidden systems. Hunters want all of them." Kane frowned, taking the device. The holographic projection shimmered in the dim light, displaying hundreds of star systems connected by routes unfamiliar to most maps. "Why would anyone want this?" he asked. Lyra's face tightened. "Control, power, they destroy anyone who resists." Kane studied the map carefully. "We have to get this to the council," he said. "If they know, they can stop them." Lyra nodded weakly, leaning on him for support. "Many doubt humans," she said, "but you may change that." The journey to the Galactic Council station would not be easy. Thaler 9 was on the outskirts of the mapped universe, and the hunters were relentless. Kane knew that even the fastest ships could not outrun them indefinitely. They reached the edge of the planet and found a small shuttle buried in the ruins, a craft abandoned but functional. Kane worked quickly to repair it, patching energy conduits and recalibrating the engines. Mara assisted, checking the sensors for threats. "Engines are ready," Mara said, "but the hunters will track us. We can't hide forever." "Then we fight smarter," Kane replied. "We're humans, we don't run from danger." Lyra's eyes lit with hope. "I trust you," she said. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the green wasteland of Thaler 9 behind. Kane piloted carefully, using every trick he knew to mask their trail. They jumped to hyperspace, leaving the hunters behind, or so they hoped. Days passed in tense silence. Lyra rested, recovering from her injuries, while Kane and Mara monitored navigation and communication channels. Kane couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy itself was watching, judging humans and deciding if they were worthy of trust. Finally, the shuttle arrived at the Council Station, a massive ring-shaped structure orbiting a neutral planet. It was a hub for dozens of species, each represented by diplomats, scientists, and military leaders. Kane felt a mixture of awe and determination. He had faced dangerous worlds before, but never had the stakes been this high. "Remember," Kane said to Lyra quietly, "humans may be new to many, but we can make a difference. Just stay with me." They docked, and the council members gathered around. Lyra activated the holographic map, and the station fell silent as the stars and systems illuminated in blue light. Kane explained what they had seen, detailing the hunters' plans and the threat to hidden star systems. A senior diplomat, a tall being with golden scales and multiple eyes, spoke first. "You expect us to believe this?" he asked. His voice was sharp. "Humans are untested. How can we trust your account?" Kane's eyes met Lyra's. "You don't have to trust me," he said calmly. "But look at the map, see the systems, and consider the evidence. We acted. We fought to protect this information. You can't ignore it." Whispers spread through the chamber. Some members were skeptical, others intrigued. Kane knew he needed proof beyond words. Lyra stepped forward and projected a series of recorded encounters, hunters attacking, humans outsmarting them, and evidence of the alien threat. The council fell silent again. Even the most doubtful delegates were forced to consider the reality of the situation. Kane glanced at Lyra. She nodded slightly. Humans had shown that courage, creativity, and determination could make a difference. One of the council's oldest members, a wise creature with skin like liquid silver, finally spoke. "This human, he acted with courage we rarely see. He protected the weak, faced overwhelming odds, and survived. Perhaps humans are not what we thought." Kane felt a surge of pride. This was more than survival, it was recognition. Humanity's ingenuity and bravery were beginning to earn respect across the galaxy. But there was little time to bask in it. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the station. Red lights flashed as sensors detected approaching ships, more hunters, faster and more numerous than before. "They followed us," Lyra said sharply, fear in her eyes. "They will not stop." Kane gritted his teeth. "Then we show them exactly what humans can do." The council scrambled to organize defenses, but Kane and Mara acted quickly. Using the shuttle as a lure, Kane led a group of council defenders through a series of tactical maneuvers. They used narrow corridors, energy shields, and well-placed traps to minimize casualties while slowing the hunters. Lyra assisted by identifying weak points in the attackers' formation, combining her knowledge with Kane's human intuition. Together, they outsmarted the hunters at every turn, forcing them to retreat. As the dust settled, council members stared in amazement. Kane was exhausted but standing. Lyra, though weakened, smiled at him. "You humans," she said, her voice filled with awe. "Your courage, your thinking, it is remarkable," Kane shrugged. "We do what we must, that's humanity. We protect, we fight, we survive, and we never give up." Word of Kane's actions spread quickly across the galaxy. Humans, once seen as inexperienced and unpredictable, were now viewed as clever, brave, and trustworthy. Kane's efforts, combined with Lyra's intelligence, had turned a desperate situation into hope. The Council called an emergency summit. Systems once hidden or ignored were now on high alert. Plans were made to defend against the Hunters and to protect those who could not protect themselves. Kane had not only saved Lyra, he had inspired a galaxy-wide alliance. As he stood on the observation deck of the station, looking out at countless stars, Kane thought of Earth, his home. Humans had always believed in ingenuity, in courage, and in compassion, and now the galaxy had begun to see it too. Lyra came beside him, her hand brushing his arm. "You have changed everything," she said quietly. Kane smiled faintly. "We did it together. Humans, we just take the first step, then others follow." He looked out at the stars again, knowing the fight was far from over. The Hunters would return. Threats would emerge. But humanity had proven something vital. They could rise to the challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. And somewhere deep in his heart, Kane knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had shifted. Whispers of humans, bravery and ingenuity spread from one star system to another like starlight traveling through the void. Captain Elias Kane had expected praise, perhaps some gratitude, but nothing could have prepared him for the magnitude of the situation. The Hunters were still out there, more numerous than anyone had imagined, and the Council had called for an emergency assembly. Lyra, now fully recovered, stood beside him as they approached the Council's grand chamber. Her violet skin shimmered faintly in the soft light of the station, and her eyes reflected awe. "I never imagined humans could do this," she said quietly. Kane smiled, though tension creased his face. "We're just getting started." Inside the chamber, representatives of dozens of star systems waited. Some were skeptical, others curious, and a few were openly fearful. Kane could feel their doubt, but he also sensed their attention. Humans were about to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of, not through words, but through action. A massive holographic projection filled the center of the chamber, displaying the star systems that the Hunters sought to control. Kane activated Lyra's device, showing the real-time positions of hostile fleets. The Council murmured. Even the oldest, wisest delegates looked uneasy. "The Hunters will not stop," Lyra said firmly. "They seek to dominate every system that resists them. But there is a way to defend the galaxy if all species cooperate." Kane stepped forward, his voice calm but commanding. "We've fought them and we've survived. Humans think differently. We improvise, we adapt, we protect. That's what I'm asking of you. Together we can stop them." One of the delegates, a tall, four-armed creature named Valon, leaned forward. "And why should we trust a human? Your species is young, inexperienced. What makes you think you can lead a defense?" Kane met Valon's gaze steadily. "Because we act when others hesitate, we fight when others doubt, and we never give up. That's humanity. I know it works because I've seen it on Thaler 9 against the Hunters with my own hands, and now I'm offering the same courage and strategy to you." The chamber fell silent. Kane's words were simple, but they carried weight. Humans weren't asking for respect. They were demanding trust earned through action. Lyra stepped beside him. "He saved my life," she said softly. "He saved countless others along the way." Humans are unpredictable, yes, but also brave. I've seen it, and now you have to believe it too. The delegates exchanged glances. Slowly, one by one, they nodded. The decision was made. A unified council force would prepare to confront the Hunters, with humans at the forefront of the strategy. Kane and Mara worked tirelessly alongside council leaders, devising plans that combined human ingenuity with alien technology. They organized defenses, established supply routes, and trained crews in human tactics, improvisation, rapid adaptation, and thinking outside the box. Kane insisted on leading a strike team personally, knowing that demonstrating action would inspire others far more than speeches ever could. The day of the battle arrived. The Council fleet gathered at the edge of a dense star cluster, waiting for the hunters to approach. Kane's human-led strike team took position at the forefront, navigating through asteroid belts and nebula clouds to create traps for the enemy. Lyra monitored the sensors, pointing out weaknesses in the hunters' formations. They rely too much on speed and firepower, she noted. Predictable, Kane nodded. Then we use that against them. The hunters arrived in waves, massive ships shimmering with deadly energy weapons. At first, the Council's forces hesitated, unsure of human tactics. Kane, however, was ready. He coordinated attacks that led hunters into ambushes hidden among asteroids, used decoy ships to scatter their formations, and improvised with every twist the battle demanded. Lyra watched in amazement. Humans were not just brave, they were clever, resourceful, and fearless. Kane anticipated enemy moves, turning disadvantages into opportunities. He used the environment, the weaknesses of the enemy, and the creativity of his team to outmaneuver a far larger force. The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit the void, and debris floated like stars in the darkness. Kane and Mara led daring boarding missions, disabling hunters, key ships from inside. Their actions inspired Council forces, who began to mimic human strategies with surprising success. Finally, the hunters' command ship appeared, a colossal vessel bristling with energy weapons. Kane knew this was the turning point. "Focus fire on the command ship," he ordered. "We take it out and the rest will scatter." The fleet obeyed, and the humans led a strike that combined precision, bravery, and unorthodox tactics. Kane himself piloted a small fighter through narrow gaps in the enemy's defenses, planting charges at critical points. The command ship shuddered and exploded in a brilliant flash, sending shockwaves through the remaining fleet. The hunters retreated, defeated. Council forces cheered, and for the first time, Kane allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had shown the galaxy that courage, intelligence, and determination could triumph even against overwhelming odds. Lyra approached him, her expression radiant. "The galaxy will never doubt humans again," she said. Kane shook his head. "It's not about recognition. It's about protecting life, no matter whose it is. That's what humans do. That's what we've always done." News of the victory spread quickly across the galaxy. Planets once neutral, species once skeptical, now recognized humanity as a force to be reckoned with, not because of size or power, but because of ingenuity, courage, and heart. The Council formally honored Kane and his team. Statues, records, and holographic archives were made to preserve their actions for future generations. Kane accepted the recognition quietly, knowing that it wasn't about him. It was about all humans and all who fought alongside them. Lyra stood beside him during the ceremony. "You have changed the galaxy," she said, "not with force alone, but with courage, intelligence, and compassion." Kane looked out at the crowd, then at the stars beyond the station's window. "Humans are just beginning," he said. "We've faced danger before and we'll face it again. But as long as we stand together, we can make a difference." And the galaxy believed him. In the following months, humans became central to galactic defense, diplomacy, and exploration. They were invited to council assemblies, asked for advice, and respected for their creativity and bravery. Kane continued to explore, lead, and inspire, always pushing the boundaries of what humanity could achieve. One quiet night, Kane and Lyra looked out at the stars from the observation deck. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of mysteries, dangers, and possibilities. "You think humans can protect it all?" Lyra asked, a hint of doubt in her voice. Kane smiled faintly. "Not alone, but together, yes. Humans have a way of surprising everyone, including themselves." Lyra nodded. "Then we will stand together." Kane placed a hand on her shoulder. "We already are, and the galaxy will never forget it." As they watched the stars shimmer, Kane knew one thing for certain. Humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as protectors, innovators, and fearless allies. And this was only the beginning of the story that would astonish the galaxy for generations to come. 0.